Hi guys! So today I'm gonna go live again because I want to talk to you about the menstrual cycle. I created this based on what I read and hopefully you'll be able to understand it. It's really important to understand the basics of our menstrual cycle because when you go on the pill, when you suffer from PCOS, when you want to get pregnant, all these things would affect you if you have a hormonal imbalance. So it's so important to know the basics, okay? So I will actually post a photo of this on the feed, so don't worry. If you can see here, this is the menstrual cycle. We categorize it by 3 phases. So this would be follicular, ovulatory, and luteal. Okay, so usually the menstrual cycle is about 28 days. This can be either shorter or longer. It can be like 21 up to 35 days. What I recommend for you to do is actually use a period app. For me, I use Flow, F-L-O. If you track your periods, it's easier to understand if you're actually ovulating on time or if you want to, or if you have certain mood symptoms or if you suffer from certain symptoms such as bloating or period pains or like uncontrollable crying, you would understand why, because it might be because you have lower progesterone or higher progesterone. Anyway, we'll get into it all. So right now, here is your follicular. Okay, so follicular is day 1 to 7. It's about kind of 7 to 10 days, depending. Usually you start with day 1. Day 1 is when you bleed. This is the first day of your period, okay? So if you notice here, I say day 1 to 7 is bleeding, uterine lining sheds, this, and your progesterone decreases, okay? So, and then follicles develop to enter the final stage. So if you think about it, your eggs develop in these little sacs called follicles, and the follicles take about 100 days actually to mature. So every month there will be this amount of follicles that will be ready to mature. They'll be growing and growing and growing. So that's why this is called the follicular phase. And when they have actually reached the final stage, you get this hormone called follicle stimulating hormone. It's released from your pituitary gland, which is in your brain. So this is an indicator that your brain is connected to your ovaries. Your brain understands that, okay, your follicle is ready to kind of rupture and release the egg. So it's gonna release this FSH, okay? And then this FSH causes an increase in estrogen. So estrogen is one of our sex hormones, and you would understand that estrogen is actually like a happy hormone. So it contributes to your moods, it increases your libido, and it does through by acting on neurotransmitters called serotonin and dopamine. So these two neurotransmitters are like your happy hormones. So, and obviously, your body is like signaling you to get happy, to get in the zone, because if you want to get pregnant, this is the time to, get in touch with your partner and all that. So, and then estrogen also, it secretes fertile mucus. So if you're a woman and if you ever have vaginal discharge, usually the mucus is kind of white, it's cloudy. Don't be alarmed. This usually happens up to ovulation, because the mucus actually helps the sperm to kind of travel up, and it actually accelerates the process much quicker, okay? So this is the follicular phase. So this is after your bleeding, okay? And then, so we have an increase in estrogen, and that's when you get all your curvy, you feel a little bit more curvy, you feel a little bit more like on it, right? Okay, and then this will actually thicken your uterine lining. So your uterine lining is like a lining in your uterus, and this thickens because it wants to provide a cushion, like a sanctuary for the the future baby to kind of, be in the womb. It wants to provide a safe space. So that's why your uterine lining kind of thickens, okay? So then after that, you have a release of luteinizing hormone. So this is just another hormone that stimulates like the egg release. So this stimulation of egg release is actually the ovulatory phase, which is called ovulation. So ovulation is just basically your follicle rupturing and then releasing the egg. And then if you imagine it, your egg travels down the fallopian tube and then it awaits the sperm, right? Okay, so that's the ovulatory phase, and it's actually only 1 day. So if you think about it, the rupturing happens really quickly and it's usually day 14. Obviously, it can be 15, 16, depending on your cycle, okay? So the egg only lives for 24 hours. And this is really important if you're someone who wants to get pregnant, because the sperm can live for 5 to 6 days. So basically, if you do want to get pregnant, they always say, you know, plan for your ovulation, the ovulatory days. This is why, because counter to what we've been told, every month you are only fertile for about 5 to 6 days, and it's actually very precious. So if you're thinking about, you know, getting a baby, this is definitely what you should pay attention to. Okay, so then we enter the luteal phase. So remember, when the egg ruptures from the follicle, what happens to the follicle after? So this ruptured follicle, it actually forms this thing called the corpus luteum. Okay, which sounds really weird, but that's just it. So the corpus luteum is like a temporary kind of endocrine gland. So it's just like a gland, and it's there, and it produces progesterone. So progesterone is another sex hormone that we really need to pay attention to. Excuse me. So the progesterone increases here. And progesterone is your second dominant hormone in the second part of your menstrual cycle. So progesterone is more of like your happy, your calming hormone. It promotes sleep over here. So I've written here, it promotes sleep. It actually calms the nervous system by acting on this neurotransmitter called GABA. It kind of enhances your nervous system to kind of die down, not to be in a fight and flight mode, not to be so on, like if you feel more relaxed during this part of your cycle, that's the reason why. And this is also the reason why if you have insufficient progesterone, like you do not have enough of this hormone, you get very, very crampy, you get like mood swings, you get all these unexpected like emotions because your body is not calm, your nervous system is not calm, right? So it's very important to have both a balance of estrogen and progesterone in both in different parts of the cycle. So you want estrogen to be the dominant from days 1 to 14, and then you want progesterone to be the dominant hormone from days 15 to 28, or whenever your cycle ends. Okay, so and if there's no fertilization, the progesterone will obviously just decrease, because it will be like, oh, there's no fertilization involved. So progesterone actually thins your uterine lining. So we said before that estrogen thickens the lining so that it provides a cushy home for the upcoming embryo. But the progesterone actually thins the lining, because if there's no fertilization, then the lining has to be shed. It needs to not be reabsorbed by the body, but kind of excreted, okay? And this would eventually, lead to your period. So this is why you bleed. You don't only shed blood, you shed the lining, you have all this kind of discharge, you have all these things coming out of your body. This is because your body cannot reabsorb so much of the lining, not like other animals. So other animals, they don't actually really have a bleed, unlike humans. And this is according to Dr. Lara Bryden, because she says it could be because the humans, like having a human baby is such like a big active being, so our lining has to be really, really thick and like large, but so we cannot reabsorb all of that lining, and we have to shed it out, and that is the reason why we would have periods. Okay, so this is an amazing mind map for you to have. I'm definitely gonna email to all my subscribers, all my mailing list. So if you do want to be on my mailing list, and if you want to really understand your periods and your cycles, so that we can talk more about period health later on, just email email to me at melissa@nourishmel.com, or you can go to my Facebook page. There's an email sign up on the right section. I think it says email sign up. You can just be on my mailing list. I will send this out. I will also post a photo of it on my Facebook page. I really hope that this would give you a more understanding of your menstrual cycle, because I will be giving you more live videos on how all your hormones can go into imbalance and how this affects your cycle, and then why would women want to go on the pill and all of that, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's all in the future videos, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Okay, see you.